welcome back to my YouTube. I know I'm looking rough, but it is what it is. So I thought I would make this video a very quick one because I do have a newborn laying here tired, and of course I'm just as tired because I'm up with him all night. These newborns have no manners when it comes to sleeping at all. So I'm just as tired right now. Now, okay. So I wanted to make a video just talking a little bit about my birth story, how my labor went, what happened, because it wasn't bad, but wasn't great, wasn't good either. It was just a bit in between. It wasn't what I expected it to be. So I was practicing hypnobirthing. I was doing the breathing. I paid for apps. Like, I really invested in my time. I paid for a course. I was practicing my breathing skills and everything. So I really wanted to have this baby, naturally, as natural as I could. I wanted a water birth, be in water and and also have a very short birth, not have to push and tear. But that's not what ended up happening in the end. And he came at 40 weeks and 2 days. So it was a little bit overdue, but it was just absolutely horrendous. And I remember I was contracting for about a week before having him, but the contractions were mild. I can still go out, I can still drive, I can still do things, but I was heavy. Someone just rang me. I hate when people call and everyone doing a flipping video. I was just really big and heavy. I had a lot of water. I had wrist issues. Like, there was just a lot going on, with my pregnancy. Anyway, I was expecting him to come maybe by like week 39. I was hoping. He didn't come. Didn't come. I was bouncing on that ball every day. I got a sweep. I got 2 sweeps actually. The second one, I still wasn't dilated at all, which really pissed me off because, I was doing everything I was supposed to. I was eating dates every day. I was walking every day. I was getting contractions, but nothing was happening. So he was quite happy in there, it seemed. Anyway, I had contractions for a week. And then what happened next? Oh my God, I was laying in bed, right? And my bedtime routine, or it was to play TikTok, and I would watch pregnancy videos, week 38, week 39 videos to see everyone else's experience and stories, right? And I remember I was like laughing at a funny story that someone was sharing. And I heard this pop noise, I'm like, oh my God, what's that? What's that? Because I heard it come from my body, but I wasn't sure where it was, right? My partner's in bed next to me. I'm like, babe. He's like, what? What was that? I was like, I don't know. What was it? I was panicking. Didn't know what it was. So I literally stood up, yeah. I took 2 steps away from the bed and this water started gushing. It was gushing out of me. And I was just standing there like, oh my God, babe, my water's breaking, my water. It just felt like I couldn't control it. It's not like piss. It was like you can't stop it or start it. It was just coming out. And he's like, go to the fucking bathroom. What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know what to do. I started panicking. It was just really embarrassing, but I managed to get to the bathroom. But from that, where I was stood to the bathroom, it broke again. And it broke again when I got to the bathroom. It just kept on coming. It was just mad. And that's when I started to panic. So I was like, oh my God, he's coming. And by this time it was like 1 in the morning, early hours in the morning. And we call the hospital? We called the hospital and they said, oh, come in 24 hours. Don't come now because your contractions aren't very, close. So my contractions were like 45 seconds, 35 seconds roughly. And they were lasting 35, 45 seconds. And they were only maybe 1 every 20 minutes or so beforehand. Now, when my water broke, it changed, right? Because my contractions then went from, 20 minutes to now being 10 minutes, now being 1 every 5 minutes. So 1 every 5 minutes was not enough. So I went back to sleep, and then I remember a contraction woke me up. It woke me up. And by this time it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, babe, we need to go. We need to go to the hospital. This is getting bad. and it's coming on, but it's still not close enough. But it's now uncomfortable to the point where, I'm holding my breath when I shouldn't be, even though, right, I practice hypnobirthing, right? So anyway, went to the hospital. They did a sweep, and they was like, oh, you're dilated to 1 centimeter. I'm like, 1 centimeter, is that it? Oh, fine. So they said, come back to the hospital, if you have more of something else or more contractions coming in at a certain time. Said, okay, fine. Went home, had more contractions. I was exhausted still, couldn't sleep. So I think I had 3 hours sleep that night, if that. So I still couldn't sleep, couldn't rest. And I was just preparing myself to go in the hospital later on that day to have him. So I think it came like maybe 10:30 p.m. and we went to the hospital at about 11, and that's when they admitted me in. So they checked again and I hadn't dilated. I was still 1 centimeter. Nothing had changed. I couldn't believe it. Nothing had changed. Got in there now and they were just monitoring me or whatever, looking at what's going on. And I still wasn't quite happy with, being there because, well, it wasn't COVID time, but it was a time where they were not letting your partner come in. Whether it's your partner or your birth partner, they can't come in. So I was stuck there having contractions all by myself. And by this time, I remember it turning like 1:30, and it had now been a whole 24 hours since my waters had broke. And they ask you to come in because you can get an infection if you don't, come in. I think at this point, they checked if I had dilated and I was still 1 centimeter. Anyway, the contractions were coming in thick. And I was so pissed because my partner's not there to make things easier for me, to make me feel more comfortable. It's just me in the room by myself. I'm walking around. I'm trying to bounce on the ball. I'm trying to just, let these contractions just pass. By now, the contractions are right around my back. It was like a ring, like right around my back. And I remember, I think I went to the toilet and I had my mucus plug come out. It was like this gooey, like slime thing that came out. And that's when I was like, oh man, he's coming. I was still very anxious about it. And then I remember laying on the bed and I was really frustrated because obviously I didn't have any support. So I think by that time, it must have been early hours in the morning. Yeah, I'm just recording, babe. I know, I'm going to put him down in a minute. Yes, I remember it being like early hours in the morning. And I was just texting my partner like, oh, I'm in so much pain. Oh my God, it hurts so much. Oh my God. And they gave me some painkillers, but the painkillers did absolutely nothing for the contractions whatsoever. And I remember I was just waiting for my partner to come, and he came during visiting hours. He came just before, and obviously he was pissed because he couldn't be there to help me. So when he came, he was rubbing my back, and that really helped. I was so surprised, even though it really hurt. And by this time, the contractions are increasing drastically now. They're getting worse and worse and worse. And they're now roughly every 4 to 5 minutes. But they were increasing. So the pain was just intense now. So fast forward, a couple hours had passed. I think it got to the afternoon, maybe like 2 o'clock. They moved me to the labour ward. And they was like, we're going to have to induce you. I was like, induce me? Really? So they did another sweep. And by this time, I had dilated to 2 centimetres. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm in that much pain. And they're like, yeah, it's mild contractions. I'm like, no, it's not mild. It's awful. It's horrible. And it turned out that he was back to back. So his back was against my back, which apparently makes birth a bit more painful. And also pushing can take a little bit more longer. And I had opted for I had opted out of having an epidural because I was like, no, I want a natural birth. But by this point, I was like, no, just give me the epidural. Give it to me now. So they gave me the epidural. And that took like 10 minutes. And some women have really good experience with it and some women don't. I don't have back pain from it at the moment, right? Because I hear that sometimes it can kind of prolong pain. But I do definitely have, I remember having problems with them getting it into the right place. And I was sat there singing to myself, really trying to distract myself from what's going on. I remember her injecting into my back and it was going a little bit more to the right. And when it went to the right, I felt like I was being paralyzed. No word of a lie. It was like I was being paralyzed. And it really hurt because it's a big needle and it's in your spine, you know? So when she eventually got into the right place, which was in the middle, eventually I couldn't feel the contractions no more. I also had the gas and air, which was so helpful, which I love the gas and air, by the way, it's amazing. But the epidural just really just, finished my legs completely. Couldn't feel the contractions that much. And they were like, okay, we've got to check on the baby. And his heart rate was going down drastically. So they was like, okay, we've got to go for a C-section. I was like, C-section? By this point, my mum had just come as well. So my mum's there, my partner's there. And we're all just very like surprised because I was not expecting to have a C-section. That was not the plan. The plan was to have a natural birth, but nothing is going to plan. So the doctor came in and spoke to us about, having a C-section, to save the baby or whatever. So within literally like 10 minutes, I was in theatre. And it's mad because you go in, they kind of wheel you into theatre and there's all of these people in there in their blue gowns and they're ready for surgery. And they're just waiting for you to come in. Like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting any of this. It was like a scene from EastEnders, like a scene from a soap. And there was this lady spraying cold spray on me. She's like, can you feel this? I'm like, yeah. Can you feel it here? I'm like, no. So she checked my whole body to see if I could feel it anywhere. And I couldn't feel it down, from waist down, which was perfect apparently. So they put the blue screen thing up in front of me so I couldn't see, my stomach, what's going on. But I remember I felt they was on my belly and they were rough. They were so rough with me because it felt like what a washing machine looks like when it spins, that they're doing something in my belly. They're just grabbing this, moving that there. And that's what it felt like. But I'm just laying there like, what's going on? Are you okay? Yeah, yeah. No idea what's going on. And then they eventually pulled him out and he was hands. He looked like my partner, but now he looks like me apparently. So anyway, they sewed me up, stitched me up or whatever. And I think it lasted maybe 10, 15 minutes, if that. It was so quick. And it was just the most surreal experience ever because I didn't get to really feel anything apart from waters breaking, contractions. I had my bloody show as well. I had everything that was supposed to happen happened apart from the actual birth. I didn't experience getting to push at all. So then I remember I didn't see my boy for maybe 5 minutes whilst they was like sewing me up or whatever. And then my partner was with him for a while. So then afterwards, they roll you out to another room with you and the baby and your partner, who whatever. And we was just there for a while, just talking about the aftercare. So I think I was probably in the other room with the baby and me and my partner for a while. My partner left for a bit, I think maybe to get something to eat, came back, and it was just the most surreal experience ever of having a whole baby being there. And they mentioned that C-section babies carry a bit more mucus and stuff. So I remember he was sick a few times. He threw up a few times and he was only having like 20 mils of milk. So even when he's having that milk, it wasn't enough for him to keep in his stomach. It was like it was too much, or it was just the mucus making him throw up. So he threw up quite a bit. But apart from that, like, he got used to it after a while. And the healing process for the C-section, awful. It was awful. You know, they tell you 6 weeks it takes to heal, right? But I know people who have taken a year to heal. And although it's been weeks and weeks since I've had him, it just feel it I still feel the pain of the scar. It's like it goes not it's not just above the skin, it goes all the way deep in, and I feel it all the way in. The scar's really good, by the way. You can't even tell that I've got a scar there, which is really, really good. But I was just really taken back, you know, by the pain and the aftercare. So they had me on blood thinners, and they had me on painkillers, stool softeners, because obviously you need to know how you've got to poop as well, you know. So I was only in hospital for, I think, a day or two. I can't even remember. And it's mad because obviously you're like, you know, high or whatever. You don't remember everything. It's taken me a while to try and like put the pieces to the puzzle of what happened, because I completely forgot what happened. And it's mad because you go through all of that pain, you forget about it. And I don't know why. It must be some sort of scientific thing, but you just forget about the pain and you'll happily just do it all over again, you know, because they're just so beautiful. Look at him, look at his little mouth. They're just so beautiful, but you just forget completely, you know, about the pain and what you had experienced. But I felt like I was in safe hands in the theater. But yeah, it was just crazy. So yeah, I don't feel like I experienced like birth properly. I don't feel like I did. But it doesn't feel real still. Doesn't feel real. So that is basically my labor and birth story. Kind of basic, but it's okay. Um, but yeah, that is where I'm at. I'll probably do more. I did make a video talking about my symptoms from week 1 all the way through to I think week 35, when I was week 35. So I will try and edit that and post that at some point on here. But that's my birth story, man. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad either. So yeah. Bye, people.